Hi, I'm John.
And I'm Nicole.
And this week we're going to be exploring some of the topics and trends affecting the world of media and advertising, all from Australia's capital, Canberra. So Nicole, day 4, and I think we had the sort of day that we really wanted to coming down to Canberra. We had 2 incredible, fascinating, really eye-opening conversations on diversity today.
And their representation, identity, the experience they go through was great.
We started off with Craig, who is the CEO of the Australian Institute for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Studies. We had a fascinating conversation with him.
I think one of the critical issues that we are still dealing with is how we as Aboriginal people are represented in the public domain. If you don't understand that every identity is to some degree a negotiation, right? So who I understand myself to be is really the product of an interaction between me and the others that are significant in my life, the environment that I live in. When people kind of go, well, this is just me and you just got to deal with it, and they're fixed in something that really isn't fixed, that makes it difficult. That we want to create opportunities for people to encounter, engage with and be transformed, and we think that's a process. So at the very first instance, it's an encounter thing. People are kind of confronted with our culture, our story, or whatever, and then they make a choice then. The choice that I encounter, or they can run away from that, or they can not, or they can engage with it, and that's where the real transformative stuff happens. I have a culture, and that influences the way that I think, the way that I understand the world, and most importantly, the way that I relate with other people. That has implications for relationships. It has implications for the way you see reality. And so I think the guts of cultural competence is, and why it's so important, is it gives individuals and gives people a chance to confront their own cultural positioning, and then puts them in a better position to understand how they relate to people and how they engage with and understand their world.
Right, so next up we talked to Cody from Agenda, and the audio recording of our conversation really explores non-binary gender experiences, the language we use, and how that's evolving.
Hi, my name is Cody Smith. I'm intersex project worker for Agenda. I was born with a variation, which meant that I was a little bit different from how men and women are born. We know that up to 1.7% of the population are born with differences in genes, genitals, gonads, and hormones. And there's about 50 different ways that people can be born that slightly differently. A lot of the challenges that we faced come from a medical community that sees us as abnormal and something to be fixed. But actually we represent a bodily diversity that has always existed, and we have a right to make decisions about our own bodies. So like coming to terms with being told that I was born intersex, I had someone recommend to me a book, Jeffrey Eugenides, like an absolute classic modern author, wrote this book, Middlesex. It has an intersex protagonist. You'll love it, you'll love it, you'll love it. And they bought me a copy and I read it. And yes, the central character was intersex, but the way the story was framed, it was suggesting that this character was intersex based on 2 generations of incest. And sort of like, you don't know how to sort of respond to that. It's sort of saying that, you know, you're filthy, you're disgusting, you're not right because, you know, somewhere along the line something went badly wrong for you. And that's not a positive message. That's not something you can take to heart. And so Transparent famously has a central protagonist who's played by a cis man. And that reinforces a lot of ideas around sort of trans identity being something you take off at the end of the day, or trans identity being a facade, as opposed to being something so fundamental to you that you know it's a truth as much as you need to breathe. And I think that people are starting to value lived experience as a way to bring more depth to their fiction, to bring more layers to their characters, to bring more ideas to the screen. And that's very, very exciting and very, very promising. But I also think that the internet is a huge equalizer, you know, and what we see is a lot of self-published authors who are finding niche markets and then producing the content that we've always wanted to grow up with. So positive media representation matters because it gives people tools to accept themselves, and it gives people narratives that tell them it's okay to do certain things or it's not okay to do other things. People need role models to grow up, ultimately.
Two great conversations today. I think we both were talking about how we're now more aware of how little we know about both issues and sort of what stage we are on being more aware and being more conscious about both topics.
To that end, in the blog today, we're going to include some of the resources that we talked about so that not just ourselves, but everyone included can potentially learn more about these topics.